Hey folks, your three favorite slip fielders are back. Get your pads on, get the bat on, and hit that six. Here's Chai getting his catch. I think we've got some Asia Cup action, and then the Sri Lankan team's announced for the T20s. And I think we're going to round it off with some Pakistan review of their schedule. Okay, cool. So we know who our semi-finalists are for Asia Cup. And we could get the coveted final, India-Pakistan. Thoughts, boys?
We would realize that this will be the semifinals. It's not like this was unheard of. But it was good to see some of the other teams, having some good wins. But so first semifinal, India versus Bangladesh, and second one is Sri Lanka versus Pakistan. So I think we could
No
do
no underdog semi-finalists.
I think India's got a pretty looking at the form that the Indian women are. It's going to be a relatively, I would say, one-sided game against Bangladesh. But the other semi-finals between Sri Lanka and Pakistan, Sri Lanka have been quite convincing in their wins, whereas Pakistan have been quite a bit scratchy in terms of their games so far. So they've had pretty good finishing games, but I feel Sri Lankan women have got a edge over Pakistan. So you might see a Sri Lanka India finals, and
the performance in the series has actually been better than the India women.
Correct.
So they've been very strong.
If you see Sri Lanka's recent games, like I'm just gonna read it out, like their group games. Again, they're not like against difficult teams, but so last one was against Thailand, which was a small score, but no wicket loss. They got that in 11 runs, so 94 runs. Their game before that, they made 184 only for 4 wickets, and against Bangladesh, only 3 wickets down. Right, so they're keeping their good partnerships and scoring runs, which is, as compared to Pakistan, not too bad. It's not all bad. Like in their last game in the group stage was no wicket loss for 107, which they won, and the other one was only 1 wicket down. So this can be a very competitive game.
Yeah, and another thing that if you see the net run rate of both India and Sri Lanka is almost touching 4. Which shows how dominant they've been across all the 3 games. And both India and Sri Lanka have had pretty huge victories in terms of runs or even wickets. So all in all, as much as we all would love to see Pakistan women have got to topple the top team of the other group to make it.
Yeah,
I would actually, it would be great. Obviously, we all love a good game between India and Pakistan, but for this one, I would like India-Sri Lanka final, because that would make the men's series, which is coming up not too far, really interesting. Because you've got, as you said, the net run rate. So India finished up with +3, nearly hitting 4, and Sri Lanka is actually much higher, a little bit higher than India.
It's literally 4.
Literally 4.
Yeah.
So that will make the men's series more interesting, depending on who.
To be honest, I reckon it will be an India-Sri Lanka final. The way both teams have gone. I'm hoping no surprises from Bangla women, but if all goes well, I think India-Sri Lanka, and then I think beyond that point, it'll be a 50-50 game because they both look just as strong as each other. But I look at some past performances of the women in Sri Lanka. Oh, they've been on fire.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting games. And if you look at the history of just the Asia Cup in itself, the only other team that is won outside of India is Bangladesh.
Yeah.
Right? India has won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. But this is the 9th tournament. There've been 4 one-day versions of this tournament, and India's won all 4 of them. This is the 5th T20 version. India won 3, Bangladesh has won 1. So Indian.
Who's the other one?
This is the 5th one. This is the 5th
one.
This is the 5th one. Yeah,
Okay.
the 5th one.
So if you look at history, Bangladesh have made it to have won the tournament once, but apart from that, Indian women have been pretty dominant in this Asian Cup all along.
And with this Dumbula, with this Dumbula pitch, is it more of a flat pitch, or is it?
No, I think they're playing on multiple pitches on the same ground, so it just depends on which one they play on.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, it's like
they've got a variety of everything. One that spins, one that's a highway deck.
You've seen scores where India, whacked 200 odd runs in one of the games, and you've had teams buckle up for under 100 or even ones under 50 as well.
We're good.
But yeah, I think it'll be a good contest. Let's see what happens. Okay, now let's move on to the Sri Lanka. The big boy squad's out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Thoughts on the new captain. Given Hasaranga quit, we've got Charit Asalanka starting.
I guess we've gone back to we've spoke about keeping it consistent with Pakistan team. I guess you could replicate the same comment to Sri Lankan team as well. Hasaranga was given the captaincy about 6 months prior to T20 World Cup. Do not get enough time. They didn't have a lot of games leading into T20 World Cup as well. And poor guy. I mean, someone had to cop the early exit, so he copped it. I'm glad.
I think he left by choice, right? I don't think the selectors pushed him down.
Yeah, I mean, he took the responsibility that I'm resigning.
I actually reckon he did that so he can go play the international leagues. Like,
there's a bigger motive. Go on.
Yeah. Hey, the other interesting thing with this whole Sri Lankan series, right? So you've got 2 new captains across both. And for the first time in any bilateral tournament posters, you see the faces of coaches as well. You've got 2 new coaches across both. You've got Gambhir for us, Sana Jayasuriya for the other.
And acting coach, right?
Yeah.
Well,
if this series goes well, I'll be like, actually, I may, stick out to a Champions Trophy, but yeah.
But it was nice to see, coaches making it to the posters as well. And if you go by, just keep the players aside. Just look at the coaches, right? Gambhir and aggressive, firepower, and Sana Jayasuriya equivalent, right? They both are left-handed, they both are openers, they both play aggressive styles, and they both are World Cup winners as well. So it was a nice twist on those banners or posters, whoever's come up, to bring up captains and coaches as well.
And I think both teams have coaches from their own country, which is also another plus.
Yeah.
So there's quite a few factors that will make it quite interesting.
Yeah. And the other interesting comment from their selection committee, and their selector is Upul Taranga, who's an ex-player. He made a statement that Fernando, he's not going to be considered. Sorry, my bad. Angelo Mathews.
Angelo Mathews is out.
I
don't see him.
He won't be considered for any T20s in the future.
Oh wow.
So poor guy makes a comeback.
That's decent too.
Decent one, right?
Yeah.
He had his own fair share of controversies, timeouts, and all that. But I don't know. Maybe he's just too old for the format at this point.
Yeah. But will he still play ODIs and stuff, I guess?
They've not, because the selection was their selection committee was purely focusing on T20s as of now. I think one thing is he's not in the run for any more T20s at the international level.
Thoughts on their bowlers? They've got 2 bowlers who are Malinga like now in the squad. They've got Batirana and Nuwan Tushara. They both have the slingy Malinga action. Yeah.
I
stick with the strategy that works, right? Malinga did decent. Stick with the strategy that works. Seems to be producing quite a few out of Sri Lanka. So
when Malinga came into the picture, he was quite unique, right? He took everyone by surprise. And to add to it, he had those, the browns would go on his lips and his curly hair with the highlights and stuff. So
and
he was
the
a
most
unique
accurate
person.
Yorker.
Yeah. And he was a unique person of, white ball with white hair, swinging, messing up all around. After that, anyone is now a replica. And if you look at the, again, the way Malinga was, he was a built up, muscled up person. And these two bowlers are so lean and thin. I don't feel that they give the same effect as Malinga. And people are now used to the sling action because they've got a lot more in that junior circuits all around the world.
But Patirana's been a pretty high impact bowler in the IPL. And I think, I don't know, maybe just the way Dhoni or I guess Ruturaj use him. I say Dhoni, but
Ruturaj use it.
But I don't think he's been just as impactful in the Sri Lankan games. But he's still very young. He's only 21 years old.
He's got a lot of cricket.
He's got like at least like 15 more years to go, right? If he takes care of himself, and he's pretty lean, and he's still pretty quick too. So it'll be a good. And have you seen his celebrations when he like rolls his eyes back? Commentators are like, I find his celebration more scary than his actual bowling.
Given he's so young, the pace is gonna go up a few more Ks in the next 2 to 3 years.
He's already mid 140s. Mid to high 140s.
Wow.
So he's pretty good, but I think we've seen him quite a lot in IPL arena, and he plays for CSK. So no surprise there on who's mentoring and how he's being utilized in that 20-over innings. It'll be interesting to see how he succeeds in the international arena. He hasn't had a great T20 World Cup either. He's been effective, but not to the greatest extent.
It'll be interesting how he matures and preps for him if he does get into the squad for the Champions Trophy, where most of the focus is, right? So everyone's tours that are happening, the focus is, okay, what can we prep our team? So it'll be interesting what he does and what preparation he does, because he'll be quite crucial.
I mean, I think that he's been their go-to bowler. Like I think the last time they went to him in the death, he got smoked, but they still were just like, we're going to stick to him. He's really good.
So I think hopefully this year he gets the maturity, enough games under his belt to learn, and in different situations, and he comes explosive for the Champions Trophy, because it'll be good. It'll make it competitive.
And as much as you always say the player will have to mature, you also need consistency across, right? You need to stick with the squad. You need to stick with the captain for long term. You've got to invest in the captain. You've got to invest in the support staff as well.
And the captain needs to understand when to use them also.
Like
there are certain periods where he's going to be really good, and there are going to be certain periods where he's not experienced enough to know how to bowl. And if he bowls them there under pressure, it's game over.
I think this is what happened for between Sri Lanka and Bangladesh game in the recently concluded T20 World Cup, where Hasranga ended up using all his quicks, all his effective bowlers, that towards the end he didn't have anyone to defend that remaining score.
But I would put that as a captain thing, right? That captain needs to mature on how to do a strategy. But like we all know, there's a difference between like an individual performance, then captain, and then you've got coaching staff, and then overall, right? How it syncs. So that's true. I think that's captain.
Afghanistan.
For the Champions Trophy, everyone uses Afghanistan's tool, and coaches are just walking around. They're just walking around.
But I think
talk to everyone on the ropes.
With Jayasuriya taking up the coaching role, who's got vast international experience, I'm assuming he's going to back Asalanka, and together, because Jayasuriya managed Chaminda Vases and Nuwan Kulasekaras and all those, some really good bowlers, and he maneuvered them around, added, likes of Muralidharan and Ajanta Mendes and all this. So he tossed and mixed them up really well during his time. So I'm assuming he's going to pass some of the knowledge to Asalanka, who can then effectively manage the crew.
The other interesting part is there's a player called Dick Weller. I think he's the regular in test matches, and he's really aggressive. But they never pick him in like limited overs games. And they've picked 3 other keepers: Kusal Pereira, Kusal Mendes, Chandimal, and not Dikwela. Like, come on,
Are
boy.
they not sure about their wicket keeping? There's no. It's like,
They're all just
maybe.
really good batters. They're all just really good batters. They're all just really, really good batters. But I
Yeah.
still think Dikwela needs to be in here because he's so aggressive. Like, he needs to be in the T20s. I don't know.
Dikwela, you do hear him in the test squad quite a bit, and he doesn't disappoint whenever he walks out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it all comes down to what the long-term vision they've got for each of these players.
Yeah.
No,
They do it India style and have 3 separate.
Thoughts on the OG captain Dasun Shanaka still retaining that spot.
I was gonna bring him up as well because he's been around. He's on his day, he's gonna smoke the bowlers and get some wickets. And he's pretty intelligent as well as a captain. I mean, I still would have preferred him over Hasaranga for the T20 campaign in the World Cup. But he's a great asset, right? He's one of the silent performers, and I think his key were that Nidahas games. He's been around since 2015, 2016, playing in that lower middle order and being captain as well.
Yeah. Like he's a much better bowler in T20s than he's a batter.
Yeah.
Like, he averages 21, which is pretty decent. Like, for an all-rounder, it's very decent. But I feel like he's lost his impact as a player over time.
I think age is also catching up. I mean, he's
only
not,
32.
He's not too old, but he's
only 32. I don't know who else is 32 on this call, but he's only 32. Sure, come on, what age?
Well, he's not definitely the oldest. They've got Chandimal and Kusal Pereira, who are much older or a bit older than him. But I think age is he's been around for such a long time that you feel he's aged.
Yeah. But it's relatively a young team. Like, they've got three 21-year-olds. They've got a few in like early 30s, and then rest of them just like mid-20s, which is very good.
And that shows that they are now, instead of reacting and building a short-term vision, they're now trying to build something for a long term. And at this point,
maybe for like
26.
The 28 World Cup, maybe.
Hey, you never know, right? With Jayasuriya, if he sticks around longer than this interim role, he might bring some that previous firepower back. I remember those Kalutana and him opening and just smoking the bowlers in the first 5 overs, and then 5 overs, both of them settle in. Game set and done.
Yeah. Oh, that's an era and a half. Was that the 96 World Cup when they came in and they're just like,
that's the start of that Sri Lankan explosive opening player combos. I mean, what a team, right? You had Arvinda De Silva comes in and you got Ranatunga coming in, get him, and they're like there's never an end, and then the bowlers would come back and say,
was Atapatu also in that squad?
I think so, yeah.
Marun Atapatu. There was a photo of Atapatu the other day, and I just could not
recognize him.
He's rocking the same hairstyle as me now. Just could not pick up, and then had to look closely and like, oh, this guy is actually Atapatu.
Yeah, crazy. All right, boys. Now we move on to the review of the fixtures for Pakistan. We've got a very busy year ahead. A very busy time ahead. Lots of test matches, lots of ODIs, and lots of T20s. I think they first start with England or Bangladesh?
Bangladesh is the first one. So start with test, which is not far. Cool. Yeah.
And Bangladesh
that's at home.
Are playing India, they're then playing Pakistan. So they're essentially taking off their Asian leg in a quick succession.
I wonder
then
if
they've
they have
got
a chance in the WTC finals. I hope no, they
Oh
don't.
my God.
Never mind. Never mind.
yeah.
Because I think they're on 36%,
Yeah.
and but they've only played 5 games, which is crazy. So I
Yeah.
think maybe by the time that we'll know more after this few test matches.
Yeah, we'll go through their schedule in one of our upcoming
Mm.
episodes.
No,
But
not
they've got
Bangladesh. I was talking about Pakistan.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, wait, which
Bangladesh is
one?
not going to make it. They're at the bottom.
see, when you said can they make it,
Yeah.
my mind was always can Bangladesh make it?
No. Even because Pakistan only played 5 matches in this cycle, which is
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah.
I think that
They've got
they're
quite a few tests coming up.
they're
No,
rushing
but
through their schedule just so that they get a decent chance in competing for the WTC
no,
spots.
so this 2 test matches, they're weighted at 30 points each.
Yeah.
It's a 2-match
Ooh.
series. And that means they'll be ahead. Like, I think they'll be in the top 3 as soon as they win these 2 test matches.
As soon as.
Yeah. Well, I
When?
mean, it's
Yeah.
they should win it, surely. Come
They
on.
should win it.
Yeah.
But it'll be
They're gonna-
interesting, right?
yeah.
They've got new
In-
committee,
got,
new
like firepower in the bowling. They've got the spinners to play in Bangladesh, and they've got the batters to outlast Bangladesh batters. And Bangladesh is going to play a very new age team who's never played test matches. So come on.
One thing that you always have to consider are you're going to get highway pitches in Pakistan. So it's going to be, it's going to be less of what bowlers can bring to the game, rather how quick batters can score runs.
Yeah. But surely, the fast bowlers are going to mow through the Bangla boys. Come on.
Hopefully.
I really want to see Shaheen Shah and Naseem to just thunderbolts. That's it. Just get through them.
Pakistan.
Change of mindset. Forget their T20 and just be like, okay, let's try to win something.
Because this will really boost them in the actual table
this will.
if they win these
This
2
will.
games.
Because their next tour is a much more difficult team, right? England's coming down in October, so they've got a decent gap between last test starts on I think 30th August, and this one starts on 7th October. Because if they win that one, and really gets a good boost, then they've got a pretty high confidence for a very strong team. Who,
and the good thing is they would have been in the test mindset from before playing Bangladesh.
Yeah.
So England, essentially the Bangladesh games are just like warm-up games for the England games.
Yeah.
With the Bangladesh games, they are in August.
Yeah.
And historically, Pakistan never hosts a home game in August because of humidity, heat.
Really hot.
Smack bang middle of monsoon.
True.
So you're gonna have.
They also have a massive gap between August and October. They've got no games.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that they've rushed to get something into the arena to kick off some of their future tour programs, but you can expect a lot of weather interruptions in these 2 tests. So may not give the much needed points and practice leading into their busy tour at home and the overseas tours.
But Raj, I don't think so. It's a huge gap because their second test starts on 30th of August and finishes if you do proper 5 days, it finishes on. Oh no, actually.
Sorry,
I misunderstood. Yeah.
Test
So
game,
that's an
5 days.
interesting. Why is that a weather reason? They've taken a massive gap.
Probably,
is that a weather?
Yeah. So it's monsoon
right?
time, and they're just finishing off summer and heading into that monsoon area. There's heat, humidity is gonna kill them. It'll be interesting to see how. Both are subcontinent nations, so they are used to some of this heat, but playing it out and how weather is gonna interrupt. Yeah, you can see the balls being left, right, with those conditions as well. So it'll be interesting.
But that gap's not going to help them for a team like England. The gap and see what training and what they're doing indoors or whatever they do for that nearly a month is not going to help them at all.
talking about Pakistan, their board did not give NOCs to Rizwan.
Oh yes, for the international.
For Rizwan, Babar, and one other for, I think, was it MLC?
Yeah, must have been for the MLC.
Saying,
What was
these
this?
guys are all format players for Pakistan, and we've got a busy schedule for next 8 months.
Oh, so they didn't allow
They
international
didn't allow.
contracts and stuff?
Yeah. No, they didn't allow.
Yeah, thank you. Start winning some local games and then. Yeah, that's right. It'd probably come from Gary Kirsten and be like, no, we need to like save the image and save his own image. So we need to get some local games and try to win some really important games without going outside of Pakistan.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna say that's a brave step for Gary Kirsten.
Oh, good.
And then I think after that we've got the England series, followed up by the Australian season for Pakistan.
Which is this ODI and T20s in the Australian one, yeah.
Good practice for the Champions Trophy. Yeah, they'll be good prep. And then they've got this, again, bit of a light tour for them. I think this should be good, is Zimbabwe.
We've lost. Oh yeah. I think just before we move into the Zimbabwe, the Australia tour with 3 one-days and 3 T20s, I think it's a good match practice leading into Champions Trophy, because all roads now lead to Champions Trophy. So
absolutely,
I think this is the first of ODIs that practice that they're gonna have, and I guess first of ODI practice that Aussie's gonna have as well. So
and I love it. It's like three different locations, and it's like 3 different pitches. Melbourne, you've got a very balanced, and then could be, some spin. Adelaide, bit not too bad, but Perth, and we all know Perth. If it's still the iconic one, if they,
man, I think the Perth Stadium has lost that old mojo of really hard pace bouncy wicket.
I missed that. That was really good. That was iconic. And then 3 T20s. We've got Brizzy, we've got Sydney and Hobart. Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad, yeah. But I think it'll be good.
With T20s, you can go in the mindset that it's got to be a batting track.
It's gonna be batting track. So true. That's true. I think based on previous performance, I think Australia should do well enough for these. I think ODI they may lose one, or T20 they may lose one, but I think Australia's got this covered decently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they go to Zimbabwe. Oh man, that's quite a, they're traveling to Australia, then to African continent.
Correct. And that's not like a huge gap in terms of risk, because their last T20 is on 18th November, and then their first the first ODI in Zimbabwe tour is 24th November. So
unless
hit the ground running, pretty much.
Unless they have a GG, so Gary Kirsten has got a GG sort of mindset, where you've got to have different teams for different formats. I think these players are going to struggle quite a bit, because it's, they're coming in from Pakistan to Australia, time zone change, and then flying back, which is a massive time zone again. It's going to be interesting. They're going to be fatigued and tired by then.
I'd be curious on what Gary Kirsten does, right? Like, we've heard the reports on how annoyed he was after the series and the complaint and all those things, right? So I'd be curious on what he does. If he, like, we know his caliber, we know Gary Kirsten's caliber and how good he is, and if he really wants to flip this team and keep the role, so it'll be very interesting what he does. If he makes some hard decisions, be like, nah, this is it, and 2 teams, and if you're not performing or you're not in the strategy that he's got, you're out. Stick to it.
Hey Raj, you're back.
Hello. Sorry. Just had to do a quick reset on the routers.
We just flew to Zimbabwe along with Pakistan, and talking about player fatigue would have started to kick in, because they're traveling from Pakistan to Australia to African continent.
Yeah. Again, and all back to back, right?
All back to back. We're just chatting about a week break between, and the finish of last game in Australia and first game in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
And then Zimbabwe one days are also hectic, because it's like 1 day break. Like 24th is one, and then 25th is break, 26th game, 27th is break, and then they go into T20s, which is a little bit with a couple of days of break, but yeah.
And then they do a massive tour of South Africa straight after that. And it's, one of those dreams. It's a full format tour. I'm so happy.
Correct.
But I'm so sorry for the players, but I'm happy.
As an audience member, we love it. You're like, cool.
So what? Sorry,
it's 3 each, right? They've got some ODI practice. They've got T20s, and then they've got that high stake 2 Test series.
Yeah. And one of the things that I'm excited about the Boxing Day this year is you got India, Australia on one end, Pakistan, South Africa on the other end, and same goes with the New Year Test as well, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be a blockbuster finish to this year, start of next year.
Yeah,
it is. That's gonna be huge.
And then they without
they don't even have any break even after South Africa.
That's correct.
They keep going.
In 10 days, they again gotta play 2 test matches. Back home. And then they got a tri-series leading into Champions Trophy against New Zealand and South Africa.
Tri-series.
I'm very happy for the tri-series because we haven't seen one of those for a while, right? Like obviously Down Under, we haven't seen for quite a while.
We did speak about it in some of our previous episodes, but tri-series.
Yeah, I think this tri-series to very close to Champions Trophy, because this is very close to Champions Trophy. A very smart decision, because you've got I want to say New Zealand's a good team, but their last performance in T20 wasn't great, but still their ODI team and against South Africa. So it's very smart to play against some very competitive teams.
Absolutely.
Is this tri-series a T20 or an ODI?
ODI.
Oh, wow.
So very smart,
real
right?
good warm-up. That's a really good warm-up for the Champions Trophy.
You see, my biggest concern at this point for Pakistan, if I was their player or a coach, is the amount of travel that they've had, the amount of back-to-back cricket that they've had. Yes, it is always good to have, time in the middle, but you need breaks in between, especially when you're traveling this massive time zones as well. There's a 5.5 hour time zone between Pakistan, or 5.5, 6 between Pakistan and Australia. Australia's Africa is again about 8 hours time zone, and then back to Pakistan. It's gonna stuff up their biological cycle. I think
the ulterior motive for the board is probably to let's get some money into. We've been needing it for a while.
Especially they've spent ridiculous money on setting up in prep of Champions Trophy, so they got to recoup or make up some of the money. I know ICC is going to fund certain aspect of it, but they would not say, hey, I'm going to redo my entire stadium just because of Champions Trophy.
Yeah. And
but I think go on.
But how good of a practice is this for Pakistan and South Africa to have a series with each other right before Champions Trophy, and with the teams that are going to play the Champions Trophy?
Correct. Yeah, that's saying Tri-Nation.
And pretty much in one of the pitches that's going to host Champions Trophy, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So it's an amazing prep. But my biggest concern for Pakistan team at this point, player fatigue, injuries.
Yeah.
Have they got a solid 30 or about, you got to have at least 12 batters and 12 bowlers and a mix of keepers and all-rounders, so a solid 30-odd team to see through these busy 8 months.
I don't know if they have the bench strength to carry on if a couple of their key players get injured. Especially if they could be skilled, but I don't think they have the experience to play those high pressure moments.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? So either if before the tri-series is the second test against West Indies, right? So we know for a fact there's going to be at least 4 to 5 key players which will overlap between the test squad and ODI squad. And between their last test and first ODI is about 10 days. So and
it's not even you can play a second fiddle team in the test matches, right? Because every single game matters now.
Yeah, they've got 10
correct,
games,
yeah.
which should give them a decent position in the top two slots in the WTC. Because right after Champions Trophy, there's barely any test before you lead into the WTC finals. So you got to have your A game to pretty much every single test match.
Yeah.
And then you're hosting Champions Trophy at your backyard. So you got to bring in the A game again.
Yeah.
And this is the player fatigue and injuries that concerns me. I'm sure Gary Kirsten would be in the same thought process and would have already started to devise a plan for it.
Wait, is Gary Kirsten their red ball coach or the white ball coach? Because they've got two coaches now. Two coaches. Yeah.
Okay.
They've got two coaches.
Jason Gillespie.
Yeah, right. Gillespie is the is he the test match coach?
I think he's the test match. Yeah.
Ah,
Red ball.
Kirsten is the white ball. Gillespie is the red ball. But either ways, I'm sure both of them should be talking and be in sync. It's not that you could have two masters running the same squad.
So Pakistan board, if you're listening, we're concerned about your fatigue, your main players' fatigue. But I know you guys have got a plan, so you've got a very busy schedule ahead. Yeah.
And we can all join you as consultants to help you out plan your
yeah. Yeah. So teach you guys slip catches.
comment in the chat and we will get in touch with you. Talking about Pakistan, I saw this video. It's a funny compilation of all the fielding stuff ups. It lasts for 8 minutes. Pakistan
I thought it'd be like 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's those key stuff ups. So let me put it and what still puzzles me is this Shoaib Malik's catch.
Oh yeah.
Like two players are looking at each other.
Have you seen the video of him explaining what happened in that moment?
No.
So apparently, because you know how I think Malik goes like this, and Ajmal is sitting down. So Malik thought he's catching it because he already sitting down, and Ajmal's like, "But you made the flower, so I thought you're gonna catch it." And then he was like, "I sat down," so he's like, "In case if you drop it, I'll catch it."
Oh.
And then Malik goes, "Well, I dropped it. Why'd you not catch it?"
Oh, that's funny.
That was one of the key bits. The other one was the synchronous dive. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
The two players try to chase. They drive in synchronous. And I still don't get why the second player dived when he knew the first player was right in front of him.
So good.
That's all good. But we're here for you, Pakistan. We're here for you. We want some competitive games. But yeah,
I think overall they've got a lot of one-day practice leading into Champions Trophy and a very good platform to get into that top 2 spots for the World Test Championship as well.
Yeah.
I think very well thought out series, like especially Champions Trophy. I think it's a very smart strategic move. Possibly the best we've seen. And also for Test, they've got. Look, Test is going to be a bit of a challenge, like West Indies, England is going to be a bit of a challenge. Bangladesh, Bangladesh, fingers crossed, they could beat them. But yeah, I think for Champions Trophy, very smart decision. Hats off. Yeah.
Probably a good time for a roundup. Yeah. Thank you all for joining us. Please like, share, and subscribe. Watch our previous videos. I think the link's somewhere over here.
Yeah.
And give us a quick like also. Give us a quick share also. And keep watching us.
Thank you.
Adios, amigos.
Bye.